Hello, welcome to another video. I've made lots of notes for this video, so I'm gonna get talking. 2024 was my first year as a full-time illustrator, and I kind of want to talk about it. A reflection on how 2024 went. I've broken this video up into some segments. Let me see what I've got. So we're gonna start with how did I get here? Kind of my origin story, I suppose. Then just my art journey in general for 2024, my income streams, how do I actually make money, and finally my goals moving forward for 2025. So my backstory. How did all of this come about? I started making videos when I was 15 years old. I'm currently 24, to put that into perspective. So if you've been around here this whole time, goodness me, you've stuck around. For some, well, quite rubbish videos, to be honest. A lot of my old videos have been unlisted. I've got hundreds of videos unlisted from the old days. How I used to do it, I got two chairs and I had a bit of a plank of wood that went between them, and I would balance an iPad on top to film a top-down view of my art, which I would do hunched up on the floor, and I would film little kind of art time-lapse videos. And that's how it all started. I loved watching art YouTube videos. I loved making art, so I wanted to, try and make my own art videos. And thank God I did that, because it's grown into my job, really, this art thing. And I think the fact that I made videos about my art just made me so much more passionate to actually make art. Thank you very much to 15-year-old me. I've been doing it since I was 15, but I didn't really start taking it seriously until I was probably around 18, 19 years old. When I was doing college, I would film like my A-level art stuff, and I would film like my foundation degree. And then the year before I started uni, I set up an Etsy shop as well. So I was gradually just growing these little things, gaining a following, starting to make a little bit of money from my art. Nothing much. I think I had about 5 products in my shop, all prints when I first started. And then I went to uni in, I think it was 2020. Pretty bad year to go to uni. All online for the first year. I would share my journey as well at uni, but my shop and I guess my YouTube took obviously quite a bit of a backseat when I was doing uni, but I was really work on it like during summer, because you get really long summer breaks. Whilst at uni, I would just spend as much time as I could kind of building the Art With Them brand, I suppose, making videos, making prints, making art to turn into prints to put in the shop. And yeah, it started growing quite nicely, and it was just something I would kind of do every now and then when I had a bit of time in between like uni projects. But it got to the point when uni finished, I was in a pretty lucky position, although, well, it wasn't luck, I worked really hard for it, but I was in a position where I had kind of built a bit of a name for myself. I think I had maybe 20,000 subscribers, I think 10,000 followers on Instagram, so I kind of had a bit of an audience to market my art towards. So I thought, well, if this is how much I can achieve as it just being like a little side thing, which I do on, in between uni work, how much can I achieve when I like dedicate all of my time to it? So I set myself the goal after uni finished to see how much I could grow this business, how much I could improve my art, and how much I could kind of get my name out there in terms of the illustration world in a year, and just see what I can do. Luckily, I was in a very fortunate position where my parents just let me live at home for free, so I didn't have to worry about bills, and they also let me turn a spare room in our house into like a fully dedicated art room. So I'm aware that that was obviously a very fortunate position to be in, and without that I obviously wouldn't have been able to just go full-time illustrator straight out of uni. Yeah, so my goal was to just, well, when I started, my goal was to try and make £1,000 every month from all my various income streams from making art, basically. Because I knew at the end of the year I would be moving out to live here with my boyfriend. So the goal was, can I get to a point in a year's time where I'm earning enough money every month to live, basically, to get by. So let's talk about my art, because none of this would be possible without making art. I think of my art is like the central pillar which everything comes from. If I don't make art, everything comes to a standstill. So I thought it'd be nice to have a little look back at the art I've made this year. So I've made a little list and I'm going to work through them. All of this footage, which you're going to see on screen, is just downloaded from YouTube. I don't save any of my footage. After I've made a video, it all gets deleted. So I've just downloaded clips from YouTube, and when you do that, it lowers the quality. So these clips probably won't be the best quality, but it's all I have, unfortunately. One thing I'm really happy with this year is I've definitely broadened my subject matter. If you scroll back from my Instagram, you'll see at one point it was very much green and just kind of green and flowers at one point. That was my comfort zone, and throughout this year I've been really pushing outside of my comfort zone. Still, I mainly do landscapes, but the type of landscapes I do have changed a lot. In terms of colour palette and subject matter. Like, I used to be really scared of doing anything kind of foggy or anything with reflections in water. I would just avoid, but now I've kind of tackled that fear head on and got quite good at it. My main goal, I should have mentioned this I suppose, my main goal is to become a children's illustrator. I'm slowly chipping away at that goal, so I've been making a few illustrations last year, for like my children's book illustration portfolio, working on like character design stuff. Character design is something which really scares me. It couldn't be further from my comfort zone if I tried. So I've been also trying to get better at that this year, and I think I've gotten to a point where I really like the way my characters look, and I think there's a really nice stylization to them. The issue is they take me ages to do because it's obviously not my comfort zone. I find it really difficult, so I'd like to get to a point where I find them easier. And if I want to become a children's illustrator, which I do, characters are obviously very important to a story, so I gotta get good at that. One thing I also did this year, which never really ended up going anywhere, but I'm still really proud of it, is I kind of made my first attempt at putting together a book. I came up with this idea, I actually wrote the story, and I did a full I did a full storyboard of every single page, planned it out, and that's kind of as far as it went. I did a few character designs for it, but it got to the point, because I have a children's illustration agent who helps me out with it and gives me feedback. Basically, there was a lot of flaws with it, and I just lost a lot of passion for that story, and I came up with another story which I much prefer. So I'm focusing on that this year, but I'm still really proud of the work I did for that, especially my storyboard. I think the kind of layout of the book works really well. It's just the story itself is a little bit flawed, but I'm proud of that this year. I did a lot more sketching this year. I have a book fully dedicated to just sketching, plain pencil, no colour, and I just feel like all ideas grow from a sketch. So the fact I've been sketching more, I've just had so many more ideas this year, and I've become a lot more comfortable with drawing stuff straight from my head, or taking like 10 different reference pictures and pulling different things from each picture. Whereas in the past, I used to find that a lot harder, and I would just like copy one picture. Whereas now I come up with a lot of stuff from my head. I have done a lot more 3D art this year, where I take my flat 2D illustration and I turn it into a 3D paper craft kit. I did this for my final year, end of year project at uni. I made this whole bug hotel. You like cut it out, fold it up, glue it together, and you have like a cute little doll's house. That was my final project, and I just loved doing it, and I've continued to do that this year. Last year, I continued to do that last year, because I started my Patreon page. Every month there's a downloadable where you can print it off, and sometimes it's bunting, sometimes it's cards, and sometimes it's a 3D craft kit. So I've done quite a few now, and I just love them, and I don't know, I would just love to get to a point where like I maybe get like a commissioned work to do this, or like a company, I don't know, somehow these get out into the world, you can find them in shops. That would be like another dream of mine, to also make kits that people can buy. I want to tell you what, a big thing this year, which I've not even written it down, was I was on TV. That was quite a big thing, I suppose. I won't go too much into it because I did a whole video about it, but I was on this TV show all about craft. It was like a craft competition, a Christmas themed craft competition, and I handmade a bunch of Christmas decorations all out of paper, and so that was quite a big achievement as well. I'm really happy with all the stuff I did for that. Okay, so the next segment in this video is, how do I actually make money? How does it actually work? So I would just quickly go into the ins and outs of how I've managed to make money this year. So when I first left uni, my goal was to make £1,000 every month. And then as the months went on, the goal just got a little bit higher and a little bit higher. And now my goal every month is to make £2,000, which I do, I manage, and hopefully I can continue managing to do that. And maybe in a few months' time, I could up that goal by a few more hundred. You've also got to bear in mind, I have to buy stuff every month to keep the shop running. That's not my profit, that's just what I earn, and then you have to take all my spending out of that. But for the most part, I'm making enough money to live here, to pay bills, to buy food, and have a little bit left over to add to the savings. So hopefully one day I can buy a house. So it's not, you know, huge amount, but it's certainly, I'm very proud of it, because I've built it from the ground up, you know. Because there are a lot of videos on YouTube, I see them popping up in my recommended and stuff. It'll be a video like how I make £10,000 every month from my art, and obviously they're very clickable videos. They draw you in a lot more, they draw you in a lot more than I make enough money to get by every month. But I just thought this would be more of like a realistic look. Obviously that some people are doing that, great for them, but this is obviously a lot more realistic. So there are some months where I earn quite a bit more than my goal, if it's like I've had a shop update or I've sold quite a few originals that month. So there are months where I can earn a bit more and months where I earn a bit less. So they all kind of, it evens itself out. So how do I actually make that money? So first thing is my Etsy shop. That's filled with prints of my art and stickers and washi tape. This year I would like to diversify maybe into different products, but those are at this moment in time, my main products. And some months it's really great, I get loads of orders. Other months, like this month, January, people aren't really buying much. I've not really earned that much money from Etsy. In fact, I tell you, I've earned £38 from Etsy, and we're a third of the way into the month. So that puts it into perspective. But then there are other months where I do a shop update, or just for some reason my shop's doing really well, it's just a bit random to be honest, where I can earn quite a bit more. So it's not the most reliable income, but when it's good, it's great. My biggest earner and my most reliable income stream is from Patreon. I have a Patreon page, I've been doing it for just over a year now, and I absolutely love it. I basically just share everything. Everything I do is on there, process pictures of every piece of art, extra videos behind the scenes of making art. I do live streams where I make art. It's just everything art is on Patreon, and there's the downloads, there's and then prints get sent out every month. So every month I need to make sure I make a piece of art nice enough to turn into a print to Patreon prints. Another income stream is selling originals like these guys. I have them up on my website. Every now and then an original gets sold, and sometimes that can be a really good bit of income, especially if it's like an A3 piece, which takes me ages, and that obviously is reflected in the price. So when an A3 piece gets bought, that's a good month. Also just doing commissions. So through Patreon we have one here actually. Oh, I've just realised how much of a mess this is. Just realised I had all those cups out on the side. It's a bit messy. There's an example. Every month I have like people on the Patreon who are on the top tier, they get a little commission every month. But then there are also commissions I do outside of Patreon, which usually are bigger, like A4, A3. I don't do them very often because I don't have a lot of time to do them really. But when I do have the time, I try to fit one in if there's someone interested. So that's also a nice bit of income. And then there's sponsorships, which also doesn't happen very often. I've got quite a small channel, I suppose, in the grand scheme of YouTube. So sponsorships don't happen very often. Plus I turn down quite a lot if it's not something I think is, suitable for my videos. But, when the stars align and it's something which I'm really interested in and it's paying a decent amount, I'll do it. So money from sponsorships, but again, that's not very reliable. And finally, licensing my art. This year I've managed to get some art pieces licensed to card companies, like greeting card companies. There's one in America and one in the UK. I think my card designs should be cropping up in Trader Joe's in America at some point, and then in some like garden centres in the UK. I've licensed some card designs too, and that's a really good bit of income because it's existing pieces of art. You just get an email, someone's, hey, I really like this piece of art, can we license it? So it's an existing piece of art, I don't have to go out of my way to make anything, and I get paid to basically send a file, and that can be like quite a nice bit of money from that. So those are all the ways I've managed to make money this year. Okay, next segment, my goals. My goals for 2025, this is a long list. I want to achieve a lot, we'll see if I manage to get it done. I'll look back on this video in a year's time and just feel bad because I'll have only done one thing. No, gotta be positive. I'll get it all done. Yeah, speaking of licensing, I would love to get more opportunities to license card designs, especially because it's a pretty easy way to earn money. Just sending a file over. Obviously you've got to make the art, but if it's art you've already made, it is just sending over a file. And now that I'm kind of on the radar of these card companies. Hopefully they come back for more. That's the goal. Another thing, I would love to move my Etsy shop onto my own website. I have a website, a Squarespace website, and I know you can do shops on there. So I would love to integrate my shop into my website because Etsy takes a decent chunk of everything you earn. So I would like for Etsy to stop leeching off of my profits and move on to my own website. I'll probably keep the Etsy shop open, but because some of my sales do just come through Etsy, but most of my sales come through me directing people to my Etsy, so I might as well just direct people to my own website. But it's a big task to do that, so I'd like to get that done. I'd love to get more, well, just some, I've not had any yet, some kind of commercial work, I don't really know what to call it, like get freelance work from a company as opposed to, I love doing commissions for just individual people to go up in homes, but I'd love to do something that's for a product to go in a shop. I guess the licensing to greeting cards is kind of a little bit like that, but just be commissioned to make something for a company to go into a product. I feel like everything I've done this year has been for the Art with M brand. I've kind of been working on building like the Art with M island, which is obviously really good to build up your own brand, and I'm really happy with everything I've done there. But I feel like the illustration island is off in the distance, like the commercial work, and I just need to kind of build that bridge over there. So that's my goal for this year. I'd like to get some kind of commercial freelance job, if that makes sense. And then the main goal over everything else is to work more on my children's illustration. Obviously that's the main thing I want to be. One day I would love to just be a full-time children's book illustrator, and to make that goal come true I just need to work more on like bettering my portfolio, getting more like mock maybe book covers done, more spreads, like children's book spreads done, like that one there. That was like a pretend spread for a children's book, and I have this lovely little gem of an idea for a story which I've been slowly chipping away at, and when I say slowly, goodness me, I could not be going any slower with it. I want to work on that more this year and hopefully get it to a point where everything's ready to kind of send as a pitch to publishers, because obviously I've got that agent who does children's books, so I need to get something so that it's in a presentable state for her to take it to publishers. So that's my goal this year, but that's such a big job. Like, you have to do so much work, and the issue with it is you do loads of work you don't get paid for it, because it's just, you know, me and my little idea of a book. So you could do loads of work putting together this pitch for the story, and then no one could buy it, no one could go ahead with it. So you're looking at like a month's worth of work, 2 months worth of work of just like character designing, putting together spreads, doing a cover, writing the story for it to just be rejected. And I need to make money. Unfortunately, that is the case. I need to make money every month. So it's hard to dedicate the time to doing the children's book illustration when I don't get paid for that. So I have like I have like an angel and a devil on my shoulder. I don't know which one's which, to be honest. 2 angels, let's say. 2 angels on my shoulder. One's like, work on your children's illustration so you can get closer to your dream, lay the foundation work for one day achieving your dream, but don't get money. Or do commissions and make art to turn into prints so you can actually make money this month to buy food. So it's kind of trying to juggle the two, which is difficult, and often money is a higher priority, but I just need to try and carve out the time to spend on my children's book idea, because it could lead to something amazing. And finally, this is a very broad thing to say, and it's just get better at art. I could do a whole other video just talking about things I want to do with my art, but to summarise, get better at characters, get better at putting characters inside finished spreads, like inside an environment, do more children's book spreads, get better at just people in general, figure out how to be more mixed media with my style. I love my collage work, but every now and then I just get the itch to do something more mixed media. There was this piece I did last year, it was like a pretend book cover for a made up children's book, and it was so mixed media, like the houses at the bottom is collage, the background is acrylic wash, there's watercolour, there's pencil. I just love how loose it is, and I want to try and incorporate that more into my style. Those are the main things. That's everything. I hope this has been interesting, just to find out how I actually kind of keep keep the ball rolling with my illustration? How do I make money? That's everything. Hopefully in a year's time I'll still be doing this, still be making enough money. Okay, my camera died, so I'm just going to do a quick little summary on my phone. I'm really proud of how far I've come, but I don't want to like sugarcoat it all. I quite often have doubts. I quite often question my ability to make art. I question if I can keep doing this. But just gotta keep trying, because at the end of the day there's no other job I would want to do. And it has, you know, its cons. It's quite a lonely job, me on my own, which that's probably the worst thing about it really, is just being on my own all day. Quite often I think if I would be happier in just like a different job around people, or something where it wasn't so reliant on me. It could be a lot of pressure when, especially if like a piece of art's not gone well, or I don't know, my Etsy shop's doing really bad, and it's like, oh gosh, it just feels like everything's crashing down. But at the end of the day, like, I'm all right. Just being dramatic. All right, yeah, that's all for me. Subscribe if you've enjoyed. I suppose, I'll like the video, do what you want. Okay,